Sometimes you get a camera and it's not exactly what you think it's going to be. And this is a case in point. This Mini Trin AF with a boot sign on, at first sight looks just like a normal compact camera. Boots is a English pharmacy chemist shop. They used to sell a lot of cameras. They were very popular for film developing. They are huge in the UK. And they quite often, when they were selling cameras in the 80s and 90s, often they would brand. There was a Beretta which was with the boot sign on. They would own brand cameras, and this is a case in point, because if you look a little bit closer, you notice that on the lens it says Ricoh Trin. Even more intriguing. So this is a compact camera but with two lenses, and if we turn it on, as I said, this was a bit of a funny camera to turn on from my memory. Oh yes, the on button is actually on the back here. So if I press on, the lens comes out, and we have on the top two settings for the lens here. And if I press this, it will come out further. And what we have, if we look carefully, we have a 35mm lens and a 55. When it comes out to this point here, it operates as a 55mm lens, which in some people's eyes is a standard lens, where if we press the many trees, 35mm lens, which is a moderately wide angle shot. And you might think several things. Why is this not a zoom camera? It took a lot of development to get high quality zooms on compact cameras. And before the zoom became really commonplace, some manufacturers, including Canon and Ricoh, had this system where they basically had a system where you basically had two lenses, a 35mm lens or similar, and you would extend the lens and a mechanism would insert an element and it would become a different focal length. And that gave you quite a reasonable quality. They are examples of lenses which actually there were simply two lenses, but in most cases, like I think it was like the Canon, there's a element that comes into play, or the focal length changes. And so that is basically it. We have a 3-mode flash. We have it on automatic, force, or on continually. We have a self timer. So this is quite a nicely built quality camera, and Ricoh did actually make quite a few cameras. I'm just going to see if I can find the date of it. It dates actually from 1992, when zoom lenses were beginning to be quite common on compact cameras. And I believe this camera can be found with different names. I think it was also called a Ricoh Trin, Mini Trin, the FF10 Super Trin, MyPort Dual Mini, or Shotmaster. Features a dual focal length Ricoh lens with two focal points. So it's one lens with two focal points, those being 35 and 55. And it uses a single point active system, which it's indicated by these two lenses up at the top here. Very simple to load. If I open the camera, film in here, straight across here, close, as I said, on, off at the back here, and then you simply point and shoot. It wants to load the film. Let's see what the results were like. Okay folks, we are back in the village of Corfe Castle and this is a genuine view, and the camera is absolutely fine. The slight problem we have is a light leak, which you can't really see on this image. I think it's a light leak on the cassette rather than in the camera. It could be in the camera, but I had several photos which you can see one here, this light leak at the top, and it could have been the cassette or it could have been the camera. But the sharpness of the camera is absolutely fine. The use of the camera is quite good. It's very light, it's easy to use, and on this next image, as you can see, there's something going on the left hand side. It could be a little bit of light leaking in. It could. I have had some, I use reusable cassettes and they can sometimes fail. Now, going back to the lenses, I think this is on the right angle, so this is on the 35mm, and this is the closer lens, the longer focal length, and both the focal lengths seem to work quite well. Here's another example of the castle and the Greyhound Inn. And it's absolutely fine, and then we use the longer focal length and you can see the difference with the longer focal length. Now what I'm going to do now is put them side by side, and you can see it does make quite a difference, and it wasn't a Canon camera that used the same, or I don't know of a Canon. Actually, I think there was a Canon. There was definitely a Nikon that used the same system where it had a lens of 2 focal lengths. It was a thing people did in the 80s. An interesting camera. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.